Life is full of lessons, many of them hard, and you will be wise to learn from the mistakes of others rather than waiting to learn from only your mistakes. Like someone said, life is too short to want to learn only from your mistakes. I mean, you really don't have enough time to make all the mistakes and learn all the lessons that life has to teach you. My name is theChristian, and I'll be sharing a lesson for one of my series titled The Christian Walk. It's a series that shares insights for a productive Christian walk. Please don't go away, I'll be right back. I'm back. Now the scripture tells us in 1 Corinthians 10 verse 11, it says that these things happened to them as example and were written down as warning for us, on whom the fulfillment of the age has come. So if you think you're standing firm, be careful lest you fall. Meaning that the experiences and the examples written for us in the scripture are meant for us to learn from, so that we don't fall into similar mistakes, which will be foolish. In Proverbs 15 verse 31, it says, whoever hates life-giving correction will be at home among the wise. Meaning, on the other hand, whoever refuses life-giving correction will be on the street with the fools. You know what that means. Proverbs 12:15, it says, the way of a fool seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice, godly advice. And so without wasting much time, I'm going to go right into our first lesson in this series titled, Look Beyond the Physical. Now, you don't know what people are going through or where they are at, except to ask some probing questions, because look can be very, very deceitful. I mean, there's a popular saying that don't judge a book by its cover. I think this is very true, and I think many of us can relate to it. A lot of times we get carried away by the physical, by what you see. I mean, can you remember sometimes you see a well-dressed lady or a guy in a beautiful car, and you just assume that it's their car and they're very rich. Person could be a driver, person could have borrowed it, could have been his friend's phone, just showing up. And sometimes we just get carried away, man, I hit jackpot. And then they approach us, we start a relationship, and you're expecting to enjoy so much. But in the process, you realize that you're not paying for the fuel, you're paying for the food, and their money is always on the way, they're always expecting cash. Does that sound like a familiar story? And lose can be deceitful. I mean, I'd like to give you a typical example of myself. I got into university, higher institution, early 93, and I'm from Surulere. For those of us from Surulere, you know what it means. We always like to look the part. From a middle background family, not rich, but we're comfortable enough. And so going to school, I know how to represent. So the little cash I have, I went out and bought nice clothes. There's this particular boot I bought, Sancho's boots. Some of us might be able to remember. And so getting to school, well, I tried to school late, so classes have already started. So I started class, and then there's this particular guy, still a very good friend of mine till now. He's also from Surulere, so not surprising. So he saw this young, nice-looking, rich-looking boy, I'll say, and so he wanted to be my friend. He became my friend, and we got close, and he was staying off camp. I was staying on camp, and he got to the point that he would love to stay on camp so that we can stay together. And luckily, there was a space in my room, so we were able to work it out. He joined me in the hostel. But that was when the truth was exposed. We realized that I really wasn't that comfortable. In fact, I was more comfortable than I was. Well, another life lesson today. But what am I saying? Sometimes you see someone, I will see the outside and just assume people are what they seem to be. Sometimes you see people looking healthy and well, and you just assume they are healthy. You don't know the ailment they are treating. And sometimes you're even wishing you're in their position. It's when you find out, realize, man, I don't want to be in that person's position. A lot of times, even you yourself, you think you're healthy, you are strong as you used to be, until something happens and you need to go to the hospital. That's when the truth starts getting revealed. I had that experience also. I hit 40 some years ago, and I started going for my checkup. And the first checkup I went, I thought everything would be okay. I realized I had some challenges. I need to start working on my creatinine was high, the cholesterol was high. But it was good because it helped me to start working on those things. And today, I'm in much better shape. But if I assumed that, hey, I look good, I'm okay, my situation could have gotten worse. And that's why we see people sometimes, they just drop dead all of a sudden, and we wonder what happened to them. Because they've been assuming because they're looking okay, everything is all right. Now, this analogy also applies to our spiritual helped. It's very easy to pretend that you're doing well and that you're okay. I mean, you're looking good, you come to the service, or in the choir, the sound crew, you come for Bible talk, you invite people, and you just look okay. I mean, going on well, everything seems to be doing well, but deep down, but you're having serious spiritual challenge in the sense that you might not be in a good place. You might not be already on the verge of leaving the church. You might be having serious marital challenge, but all they see is you guys laughing and smiling, but the issues down below are huge. That is the challenge when we just look at the physical and we don't take the step of going beyond and asking those probing questions, because our heart can be very, very deceitful. But you know the shocking part of it, the most shocking part of it, you might not even know where your heart is, that your heart is in a bad place. Until someone, those probing questions start coming, and when people start asking those probing questions, maybe when you go for a checkup or for a counseling time, and then you realize all these things are already there. And that's what we all need: spiritual checkup from time to time. This counseling time, and we go for that, we expose those spiritual cancers in our heart. So important. I mean, Jeremiah 17:9 tells us that the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Say, who can understand it? Proverbs 25 says, the purpose of the man's heart are deep waters, but the man with insight draws them out. What are we saying? Even as I'm talking right now, you don't know what I'm going through. You don't know where I'm at spiritually until you ask those questions. And that is why we need to go for our discipling time, for our counseling time, whatever you call it. We all need to get our heart checked from time to time. It could be concerning our marriage, our parenting, our relationship, our finances. Sometimes this is in terrible places, but because we don't want people to know what's going on, we give a facade. I don't want to ask these questions. We don't know where people are. People don't know where we are at. But once we can humble ourselves and be open about ourselves, we can get those help. Very important. I mean, Psalm 141 verse 5 tells us, say, let the righteous man strike me. That is kindness. Let him rebuke me. That is oil to my head. My head will not refuse it. I remember one of those other times we went for our counseling time, myself and my wife, and well, I think everything is fine, we're good. But when those questions start coming, they start asking those probing questions, the Lord came out and realized that we actually have some issues that we have not dealt with. But we were able to deal with it, and that helped us. And the list goes on. So what am I saying in conclusion? Is our duty to open up and get the help that we need. And it's also our choice when those inputs are given to either take it or not to take it. The same way we also cannot force our input on people, but however we have the responsibility of speaking the truth to one another in love. Before I go, I have some practicals for us. If you have not started your regular medical checkup, please, I encourage you to do so. Better safe than sorry. But more importantly, when was the last time you went for your spiritual checkup? I mean, your discipling time with your discipler or whoever counsel you. I encourage you to do so. You have someone you trust, I mean, that you can reach out to, that you can be open to, that you know that person will speak the truth to you. Please do so you know where you are, so that you will not find out when it's too late. I mean, next week we will be talking, we've come to the end of this class, today's session. Next week we will be talking about another very interesting life lesson. Next week we'll be talking about taking responsibility for our lives, and I tell you, it's going to be interesting. See you and bye.